Today's episode of The Real Deal with Damian Adams is brought to you by the three-point conversion. Now, the three-point conversion is where fans' opinions matter. So if you want to get your updates about sports as quickly as humanly possible, follow the three-point conversion on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want in-depth articles on everything in sports, football, basketball, boxing, wrestling, hockey, NASCAR, we cover all that here at the threepointconversion.com, where fans' opinions matter. Thank you for listening to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. This is real sports talk for the real sports fan, and I definitely appreciate all you real sports fans who are listening right now. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, / iTunes, thank you. Please do not forget to go to your ratings and review page and leave us a 5-star rating at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. That 5-star rating and review would definitely be appreciated. If you're listening on the three-point conversion station on Spreaker Radio, thank you. Truly do appreciate it. And the three-point conversion station is where fans' opinions matter. So if you think the show is hot, say it loud. I think the show is hot and I'm proud. If you think the show can improve, don't say it as loudly, but let me know privately so I can improve on myself. Because I need both your praises and your criticisms to be great at my job. And I'm very excited about today's show as we have someone on the show who is familiar with this week. He has experience dealing with this week that football players are dealing with. He is a 9-year NFL vet. He spent 8 years with the Raiders, 1 with the Jags. He is someone who once had a 44-inch vertical at one time. Must be nice to be up that high. I'm talking about my man, Jerry Porter, repeat guest on the show. How you doing today, Jerry?
Man, I'm great. I'm blessed. I'm glad your listeners haven't got bored of me and told you to keep me off. So they allowed me back, and I appreciate it.
Yes, they definitely appreciate you being on the show. Appreciate you dropping knowledge. So I had to bring you back. And I wanted to start today's show with you because you have experience during this time. Right now, the Rams and Patriots are getting ready to play in the Super Bowl. And you've been here. So let's go back to the time when you played in the Super Bowl. If you can think about, I know it's a whirlwind, but if you could think about that Tuesday before the Super Bowl, what was going through your mind? What was your day like on that Tuesday before the Super Bowl?
It's funny you say that. I can take you back to the Sunday right after we beat Tennessee. It was, back then we only had 1 week in between. So right after the AFC Championship game, we basically went home, packed a bag, and started planning to go down. Luckily, it was only in San Diego. But right after the game, Coach called a quick team meeting. Hey, go home, get your stuff together. You know where we're going. You know what we want to go do. So we went and got our bags, and we had our meeting and everything. And the next day, we were out. The Tuesday was everything that you see on TV, and of course, the media coverage has grown exponentially over the years because there was no social media back then, or very, very little. We got down to San Diego. We were treated like rock stars. From the guy who you didn't know his name, jersey number, anything. All he had to have was a Raider patch that said he played on the team, and he was carte blanche wherever he went. It was a lot of love, and especially with the Raider following in Southern California. Actually, the Raider following all through California. It's a beautiful thing. But we got a chance to go down and. They asked, the extra generic questions. That wasn't, even though I led the team in touchdowns that year, I wasn't a star or the star, so I didn't have a big media podium or a big podium set up for having a whole lot of questions. I had a little a space in the ballroom in the chairs, a couple chairs around me. Nothing major. I could remember when I was under the contract with Nike, but the NFL was all Reebok, so guys would come by and ask you to put on Reebok things and slip you a nice little wad of cash just to promote their stuff for a second. It's like, hey, I'll take this. But hey, it was a fun time.
Wow, that must be nice. Just to real quick, couple of seconds, put something on and make it a little bit of bucks right there. That's nice.
It's nothing like it. I wish it was still to this day. I wear anything. anything, but I wear most things.
No, I'm definitely right there with you on that. Now, there's a lot of people on the Rams who are playing in the Super Bowl for the first time. When you have this big a game, what are some of the things that you run into off the field that could distract you from the game?
Tickets are the biggest gift, biggest curse you deal with around Super Bowl time. If you're a person that chases money, you're going to go out there. The teams allow you to buy the two teams in the Super Bowl. I think it's 13 or 15 tickets at face value. But those tickets on the secondary market can go for 3 to 5 times face value, depending on where the section is, and that can be distracting if you still have your tickets and you don't have family coming and you're trying to make money off of that going into the game. Fortunately for myself, I had someone on top of that. I took my tickets and I had friends coming, so that was that. But people were buying and selling tickets up until I think it was Friday, Saturday night, and you can't tell me that wasn't a distraction for those individuals trying to make sure that they get their money and not get shorted and everything. But that is what I think would be the biggest distraction for most people. But as we've seen in years past, some guys' demons take over them around Super Bowl time with, I don't want to call anybody's names or the teams where the instances happen to, but I mean, we all know who they were or are and what happened. So not to, drag a person's name through that nonsense again.
I'm tempted to say the team because I am a rival. I'm the fan of the rivals team.
And I knew you would.
But I'm gonna respect what you're saying. I'm not gonna bring up the name of the team, anything like that. But so, what advice would you give to the players who are playing in this game for the first time?
Well, the only advice I would give is to approach this game like it's the game you just played the week before, and it could be your last game. Like, you go and you lay it all out. There's nothing like losing a Super Bowl. I found that out after the fact. You strive your whole life to get to this moment, and then you lose it, and you may never get there again. I never saw the playoffs again after that, and have no regrets. Just go out there and lay it all on the line. Like, compete like it's your job, like you should. You focus on your game plan and what is asked of you, and it should be academic because you're obviously one of the best teams, and you play a crucial role on that team, whether it be a long snapper quarterback or you're the backup quarterback who just has to be ready in case the situation presents itself. But know your role and shut your mouth. No, know your role, do your job, and do your job well. That's all.
Speaking like someone who just went to the Royal Rumble.
Absolutely.
So, one of my big questions is that I've always had for someone who played in the Super Bowl: how different is it when it comes to halftime of the Super Bowl versus halftime of regular games?
The schedules where the Super Bowl halftime is I think it's 30 to 45 minutes, whereas a normal halftime is 15 minutes, and sometimes it doesn't even feel like 15. It feels like you walk back to the locker room, you have a chance to get anything, have your restroom break, grab a new pair of gloves, whatever you may have wanted to do, and just like that, you turn back around and go back out. The halftime show, it's a pain, but it's one of the necessary evils because, you're broadcasting this. The Super Bowl is more than the game for us players or for the players. It's more for the television audience, and they're trying to broadcast it and make it a show, basically for the whole world across the countries. And the best thing I can say is just take that time and rest, but stay stretching, and the same time, 15 minutes or 10 minutes before you before you go back on the field, get a really intense warm up again and get back ready to go. Because I mean, like to stop a game, it's the equivalent of a rain delay, like a lightning delay in one of these football games where they make you have to go back in the locker room and you don't know when the game is going to start again. That's what the Super Bowl halftime show kind of happens like.
Yeah, I always wondered that because I figured with the players it would have to be a pain for them because you just figure you get all warmed up, you extra hyped because of the Super Bowl, and then you got to cool down and sit there for 30 to 40 minutes. I figured that would be tough.
The coolest part about it is you have ample time to make adjustments. Smart teams utilize their time wisely. They are ready with their adjustments and can make those adjustments in the locker room and make sure it's understood with no questions, and even an adjustment to the counter adjustment you could be ready for, like just have an extra contingency plan. My whole thing was that the one time I got to go to the Super Bowl, I didn't even get to see the halftime show. I don't even know who was in the halftime show. But to be honest, I didn't care. I just wanted to get back out there and get after it because at the halftime of our Super Bowl, it was still kind of a game. I know, not kind of. It was still a game.
Yeah, I definitely could imagine you're not paying attention to that at all. And so you guys are playing against Tampa Bay, and you guys are in California. So did it feel like a home game when you guys were playing?
I'd like to say yes, but no. Our mystique. I'm one of those guys that we're like a creature of habit. And when the Raiders play, we're black and silver, not white, black and silver. And we had to wear our away jerseys because it was the NFC's time to be at home. So we came in and we had our white jerseys. It just didn't feel right. It just didn't have the quite the same look. But I mean, the crowd support, it was pretty evenly dispersed because Tampa traveled pretty well, and a lot of people weren't really paying much attention to the game. It just seemed like we were out there playing a game, but I don't even remember hearing the crowd, but it definitely was not a bias, either pro Tampa or pro Raider.
And does that throw you off at all? The fact that, there's a lot of corporate people at the game. You don't have the diehards at Super Bowl. A lot of the diehard fans can't afford Super Bowl tickets, to be honest. So you get the corporate people there. Does it throw you off when it's like you playing and it's not a normal feeling?
The only thing was the long commercials. That's the one thing I do remember noticing. Your normal commercial time or the normal breaks where they go to TV timeouts. Our TV timeouts seem like it's 90 seconds to 2 minutes tops, but I feel like there were a few of them that ran longer than that. Yeah, overall it felt like a game with not an empty stadium, but not a full stadium and not a road. It seemed like a neutral site game. Neither team had the crowd advantage, and it was just ball. It was just fun. We didn't when you're playing, you rarely recognize the crowd unless you've made 5 or 6 game-changing plays and you got the crowd on their feet and they're living and dying on every play. But other than that, no, the corporate aspect of the Super Bowl just really makes it just a neutral site game, and the guys are just competing for the love of the game.
So let's get into this matchup of the Rams versus the Patriots. I want to break down each position group and see which team has.
Can I first say something?
Yes, sir.
Can I first say something? Okay. Just because, when was I on the show? 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I've found out that through this football season, I cannot pick winners. I can diagnose every player, and I know what should happen, but the exact opposite happens when it's time. Who did I pick? I had Kansas City Saints.
Yeah, we both did.
Opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I'm telling you, I can break it down, but for some reason, Vegas hears me and bets against me and wins money. That's what I'm finding out. But I'm sorry, please go ahead.
Nah, it definitely feels that way, and the way the Saints game went, I'm still a little salty about that. But we have to move on. I have to move on.
We should have a recap of that. I don't know if you had a recap last show, but I definitely have a lot to say about that guy, that corner that's running his mouth. Oh, my God. I'm sorry. Please continue, sir.
No, we definitely could talk about it. So what was your thoughts on the play itself, and what are your thoughts on the cornerback, out here talking now?
Well, it seems like he's getting his 15 minutes of fame. He's running his mouth about everything. He's whining and griping about a obvious call, and whining about the timely manner in which they delivered his fine. First off, they missed a pass interference call on Mr. Roby Coleman maybe a series or two before that would have kept the Saints' drive alive longer, and possibly would have got a different outcome. But that was the most egregious pass interference call, and I'm not just saying that because I'm an offensive player, but I have no dog in the fight, but that really makes me mad, and especially since the NFL hasn't come out and made a statement. It's ridiculous. And then the guy's talking reckless to Benjamin Watson, a player rep, a 14-year vet, and talking trash about how many plays he played and telling people to just get over it. People don't realize that play, that outcome of that game, some guys will never ever play again. Some guys on that Saints team will never ever play again, and they have to live with the ending of that game as how their career ended, and that is ridiculous. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. Sorry.
No, I definitely agree with you. Watson is one of those guys. He said he's going to retire after this season, and he couldn't play in that game because he was dealing with appendicitis. So he was hoping to be able to play in the Super Bowl. So the fact that he wasn't able to be out there, and he's right there on the sideline, he sees that egregious pass interference / helmet to helmet call not be called, and if that pass interference is called, Saints run the clock down, kick the field goal, Rams get the ball back with maybe 20 seconds left. So it's something that changed history, like you said. Some of those players are never going to play again. And with football, that once you have a team for 1 year, that's the last time that team's going to be together. Like, you're going to have your main people, but that 53-man roster, that's the last time those 53 guys are going to be together. And this Saints team, thought it was a special group that could win the Super Bowl. So when you have that happen, as a fan, I felt this. So I could only imagine what the players felt, seeing that call. And it was obvious when it happened. It's not like it was one of those calls where in real time you didn't see it and then on a replay you saw it. Like, immediately.
Like a bang call. No, that was a full 2 steps. Hit the guy, then you see the ball come past. I mean, and then now they're trying to say the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage. I didn't see it. The referee at the line of scrimmage didn't say it was tipped, though. I mean, what do we do? But we're supposed to just get over it and act like it didn't happen. Tough rule.
Yeah. Like I said, I've talked about it. I've talked about how, when that happens, you never get over it. Like I said, Raiders fans, Raiders players have definitely, still feel the tuck rule, and I understand why. It's a BS rule. Football, we all saw it. We all thought it was a fumble. This play, we all saw it. We all thought it was a pass interference. And in this one, like I said, it was so just obvious. Like people who don't watch football. Like, my girlfriend was like, he can't do that, right? Like, so, when you have people who don't watch football, who don't know football, give it a side eye, like, that doesn't look right. Something's wrong. Like, so it was bad. But yeah.
I'm glad somebody else, along with, I'm sorry, I'm in the majority, probably of the people who watch football, just say a round number of 5 million, only 100,000. Those are probably all Rams fans that think it wasn't or think the call was accurate. But I mean, I'm in the majority. That was crazy. There's no way in hell they should let that have happened like that. And then, as something aside from that, there's a rule within the rule book that states that they can go back and play that game from that point going forward and determine the outcome. And again, the NFL NFL has said nothing about it, and it's in their rule book. I think Benjamin Watson, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas quoted and noted the rule in the rule book, and again, silence. It's just silence means complicit, and I just don't. I can't get with this. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know if they should play the game over, but at that point, like somebody from New York should have called down and be like, "Hey, that's pass interference. You have to call it." I understand it's not reviewable, quote unquote, but someone should say, "Hey, once they huddle together, someone has to say we got to call this." Like, there's no way this cannot be called.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I've seen the referees huddle together and throw a late flag. That is what I expected to happen right there, but the one referee who they showed used to play for the Rams waved the guy off and said, no call, no foul. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the NFL itself is reactionary, so look forward to a march around their rules, their competition committee. They're going to come out with something after the fact and tell the Saints, oh, yeah, we kind of messed that up. Sorry about that. Sorry don't put that 100 and what is it? I think it's 200 some odd thousand to win the Super Bowl, 150 something to get to to lose the Super Bowl. That don't put that extra funds back in. That don't get you a ring. None of those. A sorry does nothing. A sorry plus 50 cents will buy you a stamp these days. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm really, really passionate about this. This irks me to no end.
Yeah, like I said, I'm right there with you. We're on the same page. Like I said, I definitely let out a lot of anger about that one. And it's, like I said, as a fan, I felt it. I only could imagine being a player actually in that game. And, yeah, it's horrible. But because of that, the Rams are in the Super Bowl playing against the Patriots. And I wanted to break down each position group and see who has the edge in each position group and why. So let's start with where football starts and ends, quarterback. Right? Now, of course, we know Tom Brady.
You believe that?
That football starts and ends with the quarterback?
Yeah. That is, I don't know. Some people think that. I think the big uglies, the game starts and ends with those guys. Because if you got a quarterback there that don't have time to throw it, yeah, he's not that good. No matter how strong his arm, how fast or whatever. So the big uglies are the guys that I say that starts and ends with. But no, let's go with the quarterback.
Well, no, I definitely agree with that statement. Like, last time you was on, I said that big guys win games. So I definitely agree with that statement. I think that, like, sometimes, though, if you have the trash quarterback, you could have the best offensive line in the world. So it definitely goes hand in hand. But I definitely agree with that statement that, like, I think I one time said offensive line is like oxygen. Like, we don't appreciate oxygen. We don't ever thank, the world for oxygen. But without oxygen, we done. I think the offensive line, offensive line is like that.
Yeah. Yes.
But we're going to start.
I can completely agree with that.
So we're going to start with the quarterbacks here. Now, of course, you got the perceived GOAT, Tom Brady.
No, he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT?
He's the GOAT.
Okay.
He's the GOAT. Hands down. Yep.
And
shout out to the best draft class in NFL history, class 2000.
You're not biased at all in that. You're not biased at all.
Not at all. Not at all. He threw me a touchdown in the East-West Shrine game. Thanks, Tom.
And also we have a young quarterback, third-year starter Jared Goff. Now, of course, we know that the edge in this one goes to Tom Brady. But what is it that makes Tom Brady so good?
I think it's the attention to detail. I mean, I honestly would have to say it's the attention to detail that makes Tom Brady the guy that he is, the quarterback that he is. Like, if you notice, like, the placement of the ball when he throws it to his receiver, occasionally, like, if you really think about it, he did not have the greatest game against the Chiefs, and had it not been for D Ford being offsides, he throws a high ball to Gronkowski that caroms off his hands into an interception, and the guy don't fumble it out of bounds. It could have been a pick six, but the interceptions that he threw, the plays that he made, the plays that he did make are what make people say Tom Brady is the greatest. But he did not have his best game. But his placement, I was get back to it, the placement where he places the ball, like the slant he threw to to Gronkowski in that crucial third down when he was true man-to-man defense versus Eric Berry. He placed that ball where it needed to be, where Gronk could get that ball and get upfield and gain yardage. And then he had another one where he threw a fade route to Gronk. And Gronk is 6'7", but he is slower, way slower than he used to be. And Berry wasn't in horrible position, but Tom put the ball where it needed to be for that play to be successful. And that's why we have Tom as the topic right now, because he places the ball exactly, for the most part, where it needs to be in those situations.
So from a wide receiver's perspective, you've played with both accurate quarterbacks and maybe inaccurate quarterbacks.
Yes.
How much easier is your job with an accurate quarterback?
It makes you fearless. Accurate quarterback makes you fearless. I mean, I didn't play in this day and age where you can't get hit in the head, shoulders, neck, or knees. Well, you can get hit in the knees now, but I didn't play where they had places where they couldn't hit you. It was counted on. You counted on the quarterback to not hang you out to dry. And in the years we were successful, I ran my routes hard and went into those places knowing that the ball I wasn't going to get hurt going for this ball. So that's a big deal, because I've gone into those places where I was expecting the ball at about 5 feet, and it came to me at about 8 feet, and I got a couple of apologies afterwards. So the accuracy of the quarterback is paramount to making an average receiver look good and a good receiver great.
Yes, it's very important. And someone who we've seen improve on his accuracy over the years has been Jared Goff. What do you think of his game?
You know, I was not the biggest Goff fan, and Jared Goff needs to go to sleep every night and before he goes to sleep every night, he needs to hit his knees and thank somebody, whoever he prays to, thank someone for Sean McVay, because he was about to be labeled as a bust under Jeff Fisher. The guy looked lost out there. He had a very offense that didn't complement his talents. Ever since McVay has been with the Rams, you've seen the guy that looked like he deserved to be the number one overall pick. I was impressed with the throws he made actually all year, but like in that game, in the championship game, he was going toe-to-toe with Drew Brees and didn't look shy one time. The throws that need to be made, he made those throws. The decisions that need to be made, he made great decisions. And because he doesn't have that stat line that says 46 out of 52 for 600 yards, they don't count it as having a great game. But I think that man played a hell of a game on that Sunday.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And you mentioned how much he improved from one coach to the other. In football, I think we know that in football, coaching truly does matter. Did you go through any experience in your career where you saw the difference from coach to coach?
I did. And again, not to throw anybody under the bus, because it's documented how our teams fared. There was a distinct difference from the coach we had that left us, and we were getting to the championship and lose. We got to the championship and lost, and we had the Tuck Rule game in New England and ultimately lost. Whereas the next year, pretty much the same roster. I mean, minor tweaks to it, and the only thing changed was the person pulling the strings. And at that time, we were one of the better offenses the NFL had ever seen. Now, that could be attributed to player growth and player maturity. Our quarterback was the MVP. We had a hell of a regular season and playoff run. It's just a shame the Super Bowl turned out the way it did. And even going past that, we went from that coach to another coach. He was a offensive-minded guy, but he had antiquated system from the Cowboys run in the 90s that served them well, but our pieces didn't fit the way their pieces fit, and we didn't have the offensive line that those guys had. And we were exciting to watch, but it wasn't quite the same. And again, it's pretty much the same roster, so it's just like it's really a big difference in football with the play callers and the structure and the plan of attack. Like I think we talked before, and I was telling you, like the way Bill Belichick goes about business, it's like you go into a game plan like I'm going to stop this guy, I'm going to stop this running back, I'm going to stop this receiver from going off. With Bill Belichick is already ahead of you, not even planning to use that. So you're waiting on this guy, that guy's this player that you want to stop, and he's not even a feature. He's like a third option in the offense that week, and he's just ahead. Like somehow, some way, he stays ahead of the team that he's about to play, and all you can do is tip your hat to that because it's just a beautiful thing.
So, is it all about the X's and O's? Is it about the way they treat the Jimmy and Joes? What is it exactly that makes one coach so much better than another for a certain team?
The thing that I really appreciate, and I'm not a Patriots fan, I'm not a Patriots enthusiast, but no one is bigger than the team. Like Bill Belichick very easily could have played, for whatever reason, he chose not to play Malcolm Butler last year in the Super Bowl, and he was hands down the best corner on their team. A loss by some plays made down the field with the second, third, or the second best corner, third corner, and so forth in the game. But apparently, this guy did something that Bill didn't like, or for whatever their reasoning is for why he didn't play, and he lived with the decision. Like no one is bigger. Like you think they got rid of Randy Moss while he was still doing well. You got rid of Richard Seymour while he was still doing well. He got rid of Lawyer Malloy while he was still doing well. Like, no one is bigger than the team. And that right there, it says a lot, because if you really think if Pittsburgh took that same model going forward, like, their team would be in a lot better shape than letting individual guys go out and just, I mean, for lack of a better term, act an ass.
No, that's definitely something that everybody would appreciate, not just in sports, but life. Making sure that everybody's held accountable on the same level. And we know that fair is a place where pigs fly, but when you have something that's close to that in your workplace, it helps out.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Now, speaking of fair, it seems like the Patriots running backs all get a fair amount of play. Like, that was a good transition right there. I had to tap myself on the back for that one. But so for the running backs for the Patriots, you got Sony Michel, James White, Rex Burkhead. And for the Rams, of course, you got Todd Gurley, who was an MVP candidate for most of the year. But right now, his status for the game isn't questionable. His status about his usage is questionable because he didn't play much at all in the Saints game. And you also have C.J. Anderson, the human bowling ball, that has been balling out for the Rams. So which running back tandem or running back just trio or duo has the edge in this game?
Well, I'd have to ask you a question. Which Todd Gurley are we expecting? Because the Todd Gurley from the NFC Championship game, I don't know what it was. I think he's in his own head. Because that wasn't his first game back. He ran really well against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys had a hell of a run defense, and he made them look like kids out there. C.J. Anderson was running like he had a point to prove. Like he's like I may never get another carry, so I'm going to make this my if this is my last carry, I'm going to make it mean something. With that being said, if the Todd Gurley from mid-season or the first week of the playoffs is there, I'm going to go with those guys. But the trio of Sony Michel, James White, and Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead is one of those unsung characters that just goes out and goes about his business and does it well. It's not spectacular, but his stat line at the end of the day could read something like 7 carries, 40 yards, 6 catches, 40 yards, 2-3 touchdowns, crucial blocks, crucial catches in situations where it absolutely had to happen, and he made it happen. Sony Michel's a young guy running the ball like crazy, the line of creating holes for him, and James White a lot. Like it seems like every year they want to find somebody to replace James White, but all he does is put his hard hat on, and go out there and produce. Like when the Patriots came back on the Falcons and won that Super Bowl, the MVP should have been James White. I think he had 3 touchdowns, the crucial 2-point conversion, like countless catches in crunch time like those have-to-have plays. He was making those have-to-have plays. I mean, granted, the ball came from somewhere, so they gave the MVP where the ball came from, but the play still had to be made, and he was more than ready to step up to the task. So a long-winded answer tells you that if Todd Gurley is Todd Gurley, I'm going with Todd and T.J. Anderson. But if there's anything that makes me think that Todd isn't himself, it's very easy to go to the Patriot backs because they're very ready and willing to step to the task.
Yeah, I think the running back group can be the difference in this game. If Todd Gurley is himself, I think they will be able to establish a run game against the Patriots. And you mentioned how important James White has been in Super Bowl past. This matchup could be very important. We saw Alvin Kamara have a really big game against the Rams in receiving wise because their linebackers aren't the best in coverage. James White can definitely take advantage of that as well. I think it could be a major game for both running back groups. Of course, if Todd Gurley is Todd Gurley, you have to get the edge to them because Todd Gurley by himself is just such a monster. And C.J. Anderson has been, like you said, running for his life pretty much. Those guys are beat. Sony Michel is really nice, young player who's really good. But Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson are both someone who can dominate games. So you have to give them the edge in that matchup. So now let's go to the wide receiving core. So for the Patriots, you got Julian Edelman, Chris Hogan. And we're going to do the tight ends separately. And for the wide receivers for the Rams, you got Cooks, Woods, and the tight ends as well. So from the wide receiver core, seems like to me the Rams would have the edge, but the wide receivers for the Patriots have so much experience. So where are you going in this one?
I'm going to go with ability because I'm going to give the edge to the Rams because the speed that – well, okay, let me backtrack. You can't just go with the starting 2 because the Patriots, they go like 5 deep. You gotta mention Cordero Patterson, or I'm sorry, Mr. Patterson. I don't want to butcher his name anymore. He's a damn good player. He goes out there and he can line him up in the backfield. You can split him out wide. You can run him on jet sweep. You can let him return kicks. So he's a factor. He's a problem by himself. So it's all in how the Patriots want to deploy their players. Whereas you have Reynolds is another receiver for the Rams. It's a shame that they don't have Cooper Kupp because that guy was he's a problem. He's a damn good receiver. He works the slot. He plays the middle of the field really well. But so I don't want to take anything away from the second tier of receivers that come in and play because the way the game goes, like last year, Brandon Cooks didn't finish the Super Bowl, so it's one play away from the guy coming out and playing. But I will give the edge to the Rams receivers because that Brandon Cooks he's a hell of a player. The Patriots know him. He was in their building last year, but yet they traded him away. And the guy he is like ridiculously fast. He's a problem on the same jet sweeps and go routes. If he feel like he got you a man coverage and you see you with the single high safety where he can't get over and help, he makes plays. And like Robert Woods, when he was with the Bills, it was kind of an afterthought. This guy's gotten to Rams and showing out like he did when he was at USC. Those 2 guys right there in themselves, I believe, had the advantage over the Patriots DBs because of the pass rush. I don't think that the Patriots pass rush will get past that Ram. I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of ourselves. I give the edge to the Rams. Sorry.
No problem. And being a Saints fan, I definitely know how talented Brandon Cooks is. Someone who I wish we could have kept. But I believe one of the draft picks we got back for Brandon Cooks turned to Alvin Kamara. So I can't really be mad about that. Now for the tight end group.
That's true.
For the tight end group, now, of course, we have Gronk for the Patriots, and for the Rams, they have Everett and Tyler Higbee. Now, of course, we know Gronk, one of the greatest tight ends of all time. What will be his impact on this matchup?
I think he's going to be more. His impact is going to come more in the run game. I feel like he's the tight ends. I think the tight ends actually push with a slight edge to the Rams because Everett is one of those long, lean guys that can still go, like can make plays up the field. And I've seen Higbee make plays with the ball in his hand, make plays after the catch. So they're both problems. Whereas like Gronk is getting up in years, he's not the vertical threat up the seam that he used to be. And plus, everybody's seen it before. Not say seen it before because I mean they've seen it after the first time they saw it. But I don't feel like Gronk is still the same vertical threat. So I feel like the edge goes to the Ram tight ends. But I think Gronk's impact will be more in the run game because I think they're going to try to slow the Rams down because if you let that tempo get going and that fast break offense type with the imagination of McVay, that could be a problem.
So that's a very good breakdown there. I didn't really think about it with the Rams receivers because they don't have the flashy stats of other receivers. But you make some very good points about their receivers. And I do believe Gronk is still a monster on the still a monster when he helps out the offensive line blocking. And speaking of O-lines, like we said, O-lines are where, it starts and finishes. Like, you don't have a good O-line, you don't have much on your team. And both these teams, of course, have good offensive lines or they wouldn't be here. Which offensive line do you think has the edge, Rams or Patriots?
Rams, hands down. The Patriots have the supposed O-line guru, I think is Dante Scarnecchia, as the coach, and he's making chicken salad out of something else. But I think the Rams, just judging the way the Rams ran the ball against the Cowboys, and the ease at which Jared Goff looks in the pocket, he doesn't seem like he's fearing anybody making a mistake. Like you know how when you, like in basketball, you know how you may have one person that you got to look out for because he may get beat, so you got to kind of lend help that way. I don't see that with the Rams line. It's like the guys know that they're pretty confident that each guy handles their own position well, and this should not be an issue. So I'll give the edge to the Rams O-line.
I'm right there with you, and I think the Patriots O-line also benefits from the fact that Tom Brady gets rid of the ball so quickly. And
Absolutely.
Definitely makes them look better as well. So I agree with you on that one. So now let's move over to the defensive side of the ball and start with the defensive line. Now, of course, we know that the Rams defensive line has all the names. You have Aaron Donald, who's probably going to be a defensive player of the year, and Ndamukong Suh, who's a monster, and for the Patriots defensive line, they have some people there with Trey Flowers and Malcolm Brown and Lawrence Guy. But of course the Rams, who have improved on the run defense in the playoffs, we definitely saw that against the Saints as well, where they're now playing more disciplined. Then his Rams defensive line, you mentioned how the Patriots O-line, he's making chicken salad out of chicken-ish. Do you think that the Rams defensive line can take over this game?
See, I got to go ahead again and go back. Remember the interception that Drew Brees made through in overtime?
Yeah.
The person who created the pressure was Fowler.
Yeah.
The trade they made mid-season from the Jaguars, he was on the outs with Jaguars. He was like, "Oh man," they were like, "What can we get something from him?" Because he's the third pick overall, but he wasn't quite doing what they expected him to do. He wasn't producing sacks or anything, and the Rams needed outside pressure. That play right there made that trade a successful trade for the Rams because somebody else, whoever else they had playing in that spot, may not have been in position to affect Drew Brees and make him throw that interception. And you mentioned Aaron Donald and Dominican Sue, but please don't forget Michael Brockers. Michael Brockers looks like an apartment building with biceps. He is a man, and whoever's they're going to keep Gronk in to kind of help with the power of Brockers and the speed of Fowler. Am I saying, is it Fowler the end?
Yeah.
That came from Jacksonville? So Gronk is going to be asked more to help and I think some pass coverage and definitely in the run game, because that D-line, those four guys there allow for Wade Phillips to have seven guys in coverage. And I think the more eyes you have, if you're playing zone, the more eyes you have on Tom Brady as he's about to throw the ball, the better. I would never want to play man. I would never want to have to blitz Tom and only have like five guys in coverage. That just spells big day all day. I'm gonna lean that edge toward the Rams defensive line, and it may not be the usual suspects that create the disturbance that we see so often from the Rams.
No, that's a very good point. You mentioned that play against the Saints in overtime. Fowler made a great spin move. It was very his name slipped my mind right now. He used to play for the Colts.
Dwight
Freeney-ish. It was
Freeney.
Yeah. So it was the Dwight Freeney-esque spin move that he made on our offensive lineman on that one, and it just sent him flying and got right to Drew Brees. So yeah, you definitely can't forget about those guys. So now let's talk about the linebackers.
That head to the face right there too.
Oh, say that one more time.
Yeah, he hit Drew in the face on there too. That could have been hands to the face, negated the interception and everything. But again,
yeah, and
can't review penalties or non-penalties.
That's true. And also, I believe that Michael Thomas got held in that play, and the ball wasn't tipped. Drew got hit, but the ball wasn't tipped, so that means pass interference is still in play. But I can't dwell on it too much. I got to move on.
Right.
Because I can't be getting depressed on the podcast thinking about last week. So now let's move on to the linebacking core. Now for the Rams, we have a linebacking core that hasn't been really celebrated this year with Mark Barron and Samson, Abukim, if I'm saying that correctly, Corey Littleton. And the Patriots, you have Dante Hightower, you have Roberts and Van Noy. Which linebacking core are you going with there?
I have to go with the Patriots on this because Hightower just makes plays. Like, he is what you need him to be wherever you need him to be. And Van Noy is one of those guys he can you get in the sub personnels where he comes in and becomes a defensive end sometimes. Sometimes Hightower goes and plays the defensive end, or just he's a very good rusher. They're stout against the run, even though the stats from the season said different. They play when it's like the Patriots season doesn't begin until I think it gets below 50 degrees in Foxborough. It's like they play when they need to. So like November 1st, that's when their season starts. So everything that happened before then, you really can't count. I think that those guys, that defense with Hightower is like a key to their defense. Like if you can manipulate him and take him out of the way somehow, some way, that will help the Rams. But all things being equal, Barron, ex-safety, is playing linebacker because of his aggressiveness. His speed will help him in coverage, but overall, I got to stick with the Patriots on this one.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. We've talked all year about the linebackers being the one weakness of the defense for the Rams, and they haven't been bad, but they're just not up to the par with the Patriots defensive linebackers. So now let's talk about the secondary. All right, we've talked about these guys a little bit. With the Rams, there's a few guys there that you're not fans of. When you talk about Marcus Peters, we already talked about Roby Coleman, Aqib Talib. So they have they have the Jerry Porter All Stars there with the secondary for the Rams. Actually, I also have LaMarcus Joyner and John Johnson as well in that secondary. For the Patriots, you have Jason McCourty, Stephon Gilmore, who's balled out this year. Excellent year for Stephon Gilmore, Patrick Young, Devin McCourty, who's also very good. Which secondary are you going with?
I'm just going to go on record and say there's not a corner I really like, period. I don't like these secondary people because you can, if a quarterback makes a bad throw and it's out of bounds or too far or one hops it to him, they got these antics. They want to wave their hands like they made this great play. Well, really, it's just a bad throw or the ball was thrown away. So it's like all these corners and safeties, they act like they did this great play when the ball's thrown away or it's a bad throw. And it seems like everybody in the secondary bothers me. So, with that being said, I like the Rams secondary as much as like all the guys they talk a lot and they're in your face and doing all these extra things in the middle of the play and after the play, like Marcus Peters like hitting the guy in the face, like causing his team penalties and stuff. Like there's no place for that. Like just play ball, bro. The Patriots themselves, they do a whole lot of things. They're so multiple with what they can do in the secondary. The guys go out there and they show two and end up in one. They show one, end up in three. They moving guys around all over the place. And the defense of the Patriots is like one of those things that like they never show up. They don't show like great stats, but at the end of the day, when it's time to make a play, they always seem to make a play. So I'm going to push this. I thought I could go with the Rams, but I got to push this because both of them, like you said, Gilmore played really well this year. You got the McCourty brothers back there doing their thing. Patrick Chung, he's just a lifer with the Patriots, and he's just in a position to do what he's supposed to do pretty much at all times. So the names are going to end up with the Rams, but the ability and skill and actual execution, I'm going to go with the Patriots. So I think it ends up having to push. Sorry about the door.
No problem. I can see why you go with a push there. It is very close. I'm going to give the Patriots a slight edge just because I believe Marcus Peters, he could be someone who wants to make a play, and because he wants to make that play, can make a mistake trying to make a play. And sometimes you just have to make the more disciplined play instead of trying to make the big play. And I think that could be a difference in the game. If him trying to, maybe go on a double move and he's trying to cut it off, something of that nature, Marcus Peters may fall victim to. So I'm going to give the Patriots the edge on that one. So,
especially with, who's that guy? Who was the Patriots quarterback again? I forget his name. What was his name? where was he drafted? Oh, yeah. If you get caught staring at Tom Brady, it's going to end badly for you.
Definitely. He's someone who you definitely can't make those mistakes against. So, thank you for the breakdown. Very good breakdown there. And now it's time for us to do something that we're not good at, right? We have to make our prediction for this game. And because you're the guest, I'm going to let you go first. How do you see this game going?
Well, Vegas, are you listening? The Rams are the more talented team through the whole 53-man roster. But there's always a but. I feel like Tom being Tom, the intangibles are what they are, the experience with the having been there before and blah, 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 blah. I got the Patriots. I got the Patriots winning a game that they control. I don't feel like it's going to be an up and down game, even though the Patriots could possibly go up and down with the Rams. I feel like this game is going to be 30-17 with a garbage time touchdown. I ain't gonna say a garbage time, but a late touchdown by the Patriots to solidify it to 30. But it's gonna be a closer game than 30-17. But I think the final score will be like 30-17.
Okay, so we're both on the same page on this one. I predicted last week. My initial prediction was 31-21 Patriots. I'm gonna stick with that. 31-21. I believe coaching and experience in this one will prevail. Even though Sean McVay has become coaching god, coaches are getting jobs just because they know him.
You're right. we sat sat on the same plane. I remember the flight. I sat in the seat that he sat in, so that should count for something. I should be up for a head coaching job, at least in college somewhere or high school somewhere.
Hey, me and him share the same birthday, so I feel like I should get a head coaching job somewhere pretty soon as well. So,
you know what? It has to be in the cards, but you got to go coach basketball, bro.
Yeah, I think I should definitely do basketball, and the Sean McVay connection could help there as well. So I'm gonna definitely tell them that when I go for the job.
They play fast break football, fast break basketball.
Definitely. I definitely will put that into my coaching resume. I got the same birthday as Sean McVay. So you're going 30-17 Patriots. I'm going 31-21. I see the game the same way. I think the Patriots will have control. And I think that their defensive schemes, they'll be able to scheme up a way to slow down the Rams just enough. And on offense, they're going to find ways to take advantage of the aggressive secondary of the Rams and get a victory in this one, 31-21. So we're both now on wax, predicting the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. So now let's switch gears. There was some big news in the basketball world. I don't know if you heard that. It's been a rough.
Like Kyrie said so.
It's been a rough week. It's been a rough week to be a New Orleans sports fan. We had the devastating loss in the NFC Championship game, and then the following Monday, or the Monday after, Anthony Davis decided to officially request a trade away from the Pelicans and is now on the trading block. And, as a Pelicans fan, of course it hurts, but I understand. We haven't built the right team around him. And even though we got to the second round of the playoffs last year, this year we've been dealing with a lot of injuries, and we look to be out of the playoff race this year. And he's, tired of not succeeding in the playoff way. So from the Pelicans' perspective, what do you think they should do with the disgruntled superstar?
Well, to be honest, I don't know what teams are offering, but I mean, a guy who doesn't want to play for you, you got him. I mean, I think you have to, but I'd let him go. And I'm trying to get picks because, I mean, if I can get anything in the lottery, I got my fingers crossed. You might land a Zion or R.J. Barrett or a combination of the two if you can get multiple draft picks. And if you trade them away, you're going to be in the lottery yourself. So your own pick may be for Zion, and the next pick might be for R.J. So if you bring two guys that instantly bring the fanfare from college and the speculation of what they could be, they're 18, 19 years old, like up-and-coming potential superstars. I mean, if you watch Zion, you could pretty much play 4-on-5. That dude is, 6'8", 285. Like, he's LeBron in an Oakley body without the skill. So it's tough. Like, you don't want to let your marquee name go to guy that all the kids' jerseys are, that's selling all the jerseys. But, I mean, you got to comply with the guy's wishes. He doesn't want to be there. He's giving you, 7-8 seasons of MVP quality ball in some years. Stuff in his stat sheet. Never in any trouble. Just a damn good player. The Pelicans had luck when they drafted him 1 overall before. Lightning strikes twice sometimes. I mean, Cleveland got it number 1 overall 3 times out of 6 years or so. So I let him go. But I mean, I'm not taking on a big salary because New Orleans isn't one of those destination places where guys want to come to play. I'll go complete rebuild, go young, and see what my draft fortunes get me.
I definitely hear what you're saying. We have to trade him. You definitely don't want to just let him go. He's not a free agent until the end of next year, but you definitely don't want to have this situation looming over you next year. So
right.
My thing is, I wouldn't trade him by the deadline this year. I would ride out this season, but in the summertime, I feel like that's when you have your best situation to be able to see, who has what draft pick. I would wait till after the lottery to see who has what draft pick, because you don't want to trade now for the potential pick when that lottery pick, could have bad odds or just bad luck. Next thing you know, you traded Anthony Davis, and you got a number 9 pick, and that would just be a disaster.
That's what the Cavaliers did. They traded a Kyrie Irving for a broken Isaiah Thomas and the 8th pick that landed Colin Sexton and some other throwing pieces. I wouldn't take any trade like that.
Yeah,
as
exactly.
an NBA fan, I would love to see it happen sooner. I'd like to see it happen by the deadline because I'm LA biased. I'm LeBron biased, so I'd like to see him team up with LeBron. But the combination of players that it would take to get him from the Lakers, there's going to be a pretty empty cupboard afterward, and then we're going to be facing a situation where the Lakers would have a team comparable to what the Heat did when they paid Bosh and LeBron to come with Wade and put all of the eggs in those 3 baskets, and you had to fill out the roster with the rest of the guys from the league just on one-year contract or expiring contract, or just old guys that just want to chase a championship. I mean, with that being said, if the Lakers were to do that, I will nominate myself to come and play a little small forward in crunch time, not crunch time, in garbage time, and lend my 6 fouls. And yeah, I'd come play. I play for haircuts and shoes. So,
I definitely can see that.
Call me.
Hey, I can hit an open 3 or 2. Maybe I can be out there as well. Give me in the corner. I could do that. I
play defense. I don't even need to shoot. I'll play defense all day long.
That's true. You probably could play D. I couldn't guard anybody in the NBA at all. So I'm gonna have to be out there shooting threes. But for me, if we're gonna trade him before the deadline, the trade has to be phenomenal. It has to be a crazy offer that you just cannot refuse. Some of the teams that have been mentioned, of course, the Lakers. And I went, and ESPN has this thing called a trade machine on their on .com, where you can go and put in actual trades and see if they financially work. Me being a basketball nerd, I went in there and did some trades to see what would actually work. And the Lakers, because so much of their players are so young, they don't make that much money. So for them to get Anthony Davis, they would have to give up so many players to do it. So are they willing to give up Kuzma, Ball, Ingram, Zubac, also Hart, along with maybe a Michael Beasley, to get Anthony Davis along with some throw-in players from the Pelicans? So that's a lot of young players you would give up. Now, of course, it's worth it because you get Anthony Davis, who's a top 5 talent. Probably the best power forward since Kevin Garnett. But then also, the plan is your team for this year. So do you want to wait to make that deal?
If I'm the Lakers, I'm going to stand pat. I'm going to wait this year because if like I just heard on I think it was Across the Bottom Line that the agents for Anthony Davis, which happen to be the agents for LeBron James, said his preferred destination is the Lakers. Where Kawhi said the same thing with the Spurs, but the Spurs are like, I'm not going to pander to you. You're leaving me, so I'm going to send you to the other conference away from you, so I don't have to play you however many times a year. The Lakers would have to give all of their talent away, and there has to be a third team involved because the Pelicans couldn't keep keep all of the players that get traded to them. They have to end up waiving some of them, somebody, even if the numbers work, because I think the NBA rosters with 15 people, that Lakers are going to end up having to part with almost 5 to get him. And I mean, that would be fair. It would be fair compensation by any stretch, but again, this is outside of my realm of expertise. But I would love to see him land over there, and the free agent signing happens or whatever. But if the trade happened, they said that Anthony Davis would just tell the team that whoever he gets traded to, if it's not the Lakers, that he's not going to re-sign with them. No matter what. So they said they may flip him, like trade for him this year, then try to trade him again in the offseason. And that would just create a big old mess because there's a whole lot of speculation as to who and what would land where. And it'd just be crazy. pending free agents coming this summer, it would throw not say their careers, but it would throw their decisions up in the air because it's been written that Klay Thompson would like to come to the Lakers if they had Anthony Davis and LeBron. So it's kind of strange. It's a whole lot of if, when, or if scenarios, and I just got my popcorn ready. I'm ready for whatever happens.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about the NBA. Like, it's almost become where who goes where overshadows the actual games. Like, you hear more analysis about this player's going to go here or this player is rumored to go there than you hear about the actual games. But it is exciting. You know, as a Pelicans fan, of course, it hurts, but I understand. You know, we didn't do our job of, you know, building a team around him, which is hard to do in New Orleans with a basketball team and when it's, you know, not a basketball town. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think they should wait. I think that'll be the best thing to do is to wait till the summertime, see who has what draft pick, and go from there. And also, Boston, because of Kyrie's contract, can't be in the discussion until the summertime, and they may have more to offer than any other team. So I would wait if I was New Orleans until the summer to trade AD, even if you got to sit him for the rest of the year to effectively tank. Because of course we want to get Zion because he's a man child. And just I watched him play. Last night. Watched him play against Notre Dame last night. It's just, whoo, that's that's ridiculous. Just seeing what he can do. So I would definitely wait it out. And like I said, you gotta do what's best for your franchise, not what's best for the player. And you never know. Paul George at one point was saying, "I want to go to the Lakers," or it was rumored that he wants to go to the Lakers. Try to trade to OKC, and because OKC went and got him and made it, you know, very evident that they wanted him, he stayed. Kawhi Leonard right now is in Toronto. We don't know if he's going to stay, but Toronto's very good. Toronto makes the finals. No telling, maybe Kawhi Leonard stays. So that may be the new blueprint, is to go get the player, have him for a year or a year and a half, and try to convince them to stay and not go to the destination they wanted to go to in the first place. So other teams, I think, should still throw the hat in the ring because we've seen it work before.
Yeah, that's one time it's worked. I wouldn't really get into that. But the thing that I bought that kind of baffles me is that Danny Ainge, he's rumored to be willing to part. He's going to have to part with a ransom to get Anthony Davis. And I mean, without Kyrie last year, that team was a machine, and they should just be 1 year better. I would be willing to trade Kyrie elsewhere because it seems like he holds the Celtics back. And I like Kyrie. I'm a huge Kyrie fan, but he does not fit with them. He's an eyeball, and Brad Stevens, the Celtics are we ball. So the whole team plays and gets in and feeds off the action, whereas Kyrie is going to wow you with his between the legs, left and right hand finishes. Like he's like of the ilk of James Harden. So this is just me. I would dangle Kyrie out there for another position that could help the Celtics and somehow strengthen that team. Because I think if you let Terry Rozier run that offense, and you already have Hayward working himself back into his form, that could be a scary team. No. I really think that could be a scary team, but I can't think of any one person that would help the Celtics. I mean, all they would need is depth now. So It's just tough. Like, I love the NBA just because of what may possibly happen at any time. So it's just, I can't say what's going to happen, but I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Now, that's a very interesting point because of Kyrie's contract, they can't make the trade. But if they trade Kyrie in the trade, then they could do it. And that would be very interesting. You know, if the Pelicans got Kyrie back, you would feel somewhat good about it, trading Anthony Davis away. Of course, you're not going to get even value for Anthony Davis. But if you can get an all-star back, you can't really complain about that. Especially, you know, with the Celtics having picks like the Grizzlies pick and I think a Kings pick in the future. They'll get those picks included with Kyrie, then you could feel somewhat good about it.
Yeah, you would have to, because I don't think you would get Kyrie to re-sign in New Orleans either. I mean, you could try to wow him and get him, but if you got Kyrie in New Orleans, I think he is going to the Knicks or Nets right after that, or maybe still even to the Lakers, because he kind of had his aha moment when he called LeBron and apologized for being being himself back when LeBron was trying to get the best out of him, or so the media reports. When Kyrie called LeBron and blah, 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 they had their bromance on the phone. And I'm sorry, man, I see what you were trying to do. I got a similar situation with young guys and blah, 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 blah. I see it. I get it. But I would love to see Kyrie and LeBron again together, because that was almost as magical as LeBron and Wade.
Yeah, no, it definitely was magical. You know, they got that championship that will live forever over the Warriors. And, you know, Kyrie's getting a little older. You start to realize things when you start to just mature. You're like, okay, LeBron wasn't too bad. You know, I now see.
You know, he kind of knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, I see what he was talking about.
This is all he wanted me to do, like buckle down and get into this game plan a little bit better, or whatever it is. The spat was over. I didn't want to play second fiddle to this guy. These guys don't want to play second fiddle to me. I see it. The aha moment.
Yeah, it happens to all of us, you know. I'm just a little bit older than Kyrie, so I'm still having those moments now where something my dad said years ago. I was like, you know. So we all go through it.
That whole thing, yeah. Absolutely,
definitely. So I wanted to introduce a new segment whenever I have you on, called Story Time with JP. You know, you tell some great stories when we're just at the gym chilling and stuff like that. So I wanted to give you a chance to share some of these stories with my audience. So any story you want to share about your time in the NFL, it could be about, you know, my favorite stories is the time you got to play against Gilbert Arenas in basketball. Any story you want to share with the people today?
You told me I did. I can't think of one. I didn't tell the Gilbert Arenas story on air, did I?
No, you didn't.
Can I tell that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, I think Gilbert Arenas was drafted to the Warriors like a year after I got to the Raiders, like 2001 or so. And he was a late round pick. He was a late first round pick. Possibly even early second, but either way. Gilbert Arenas, the Hibachi, ended up going to my hometown and playing for the Wizards / Bullets, and he was an offensive machine, could score with the best of them. So this is probably year 2003 or 4, something like that. And the N1 mixtape team was a big deal. You had the Professor and the I can't even remember. I remember the Professor and Cadillac, the big dude.
I was going to say Hot Sauce.
If I miss anybody's names, I apologize. Hot Sauce, all those guys. So we just had a charity event at University of Santa Clara, and Gilbert Arenas jumped on the N1 team, and it was the Raiders against basically N1, and they had a pretty good N1 following out there because they were ridiculous tricks with the ball and making people look silly. So we jumped out there, and I had my big guy, Chad Slaughter, used to play at Alcorn State, about 6'8", but he was about 300 pounds. And Langston Walker is another one, about 6'8", 300. He might have been close to 4. But either way, I think Tyrone Wheatley was there. I think we had Johnny Harris, another NFL player that could just flat out ball. So we're playing, we're going up and down with these guys. And they're trying to make us look silly, and we're hanging with them. All of a sudden, like, an inbound play happened, and they give me a bounce pass on the baseline. Gilbert Arenas challenges Jerry Porter in this 44.5-inch vertical. Gilbert Arenas lost it. The N1 guy on the microphone was like, "Oh, baby!" And he's hyping me up and is running around, yelling in the microphone. The crowd goes crazy. People running onto the court. I'm like, "Oh, Gilbert! I just dumped on Gilbert Arenas." So the rest of the game, the entire rest of the game, Gilbert Arenas is basically running the point guard spot, and I'm guarding somebody else. Every time he gets the ball, he dribbles the ball at me. I turn and run away from him and guard my guy. He is on strict get-back mode. He's going to find a way to embarrass me back. And at that point in time, the damage was done. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't undunk on him. Yes, I'm still patting myself on the back for that. I could not dunk on Gilbert. I mean, I would have taken it back because I'm a fan. I'm glad he ended up playing as well as he did because it makes my status a little higher. So years later, say like 2, 3, 5, however many years later, Gilbert is in D.C. My financial advisor is a big basketball guy, so he goes out and he goes to all the games and he's mingling with all the players. And he says, talking to Gilbert, he's like, yeah, when you was in the Bay, you might have met my man. He played for the Raiders, Jerry Porter. He's like, I know that fool. He dunked on me, man, and I've been trying to get him back ever since. And I was like, you're damn right, and you won't. You can chase me. You can't make me stand under the rim. You're not going to cross me. I'm not going to play defense. But, yeah, that was me essentially taking my ball and going home after dunking on Gilbert Arenas. So that's mine. But, there's always that time when you dunk on somebody, you got to know if you're going to play defense, somebody going to get you back. So you can't tell a story where you come out as the hero and everything and just leave it at that. So a couple years later than that, we're playing and Adrian Ross, a guy from Sacramento, played with the Cincinnati Bengals. He does a lot of charity work up in Sacramento, and he invited a bunch of us up there to play in his Mad Backer basketball game. So there was this skinny kid out of UCLA. Didn't know him. I didn't know who he was until I actually saw him in the NBA. But we're playing basketball, going up and down, and I play a lot of defense. So there was a two-on-one break. I was the only one back, and it was the guy was dribbling down the left side, and I'm guarding him, bluffing at him, trying to make him make the pass. He makes the pass, and I just turn and jump. I did not know that Matt Barnes was this guy. I did not know that this 6 foot, Matt's like 6'5", 6'6", light-skinned guy. I was like, light-skinned guys can't dunk. Yeah. I found out the hard way. So, yeah, Matt Barnes got me back. So it kind of took me down a notch, but I still play defense the same way. But, yeah, Matt Barnes, I got Gilbert Arenas. Matt Barnes got me back. So I think me versus NBA, we wash, and we just going to leave it at that because I don't want to challenge anybody else in the NBA anymore at my advanced age in life. But in my heyday, I was a high riser, and I used to challenge anybody above the rim. And you win some, and you lose some. But you live to fight another day. That was me taking my win and taking my L.
Yeah. Now, if you play basketball long enough, you're definitely going to have your W's and your L's. I've told my story about my L before. I've only been dunked on twice. Once in a game and one in practice. The one time it happened in the game in high school. The guy who dunked on me is not in the NBA, so I don't feel too bad about it. But we were playing against this team, and their whole team was good. Like their point guard was 6'5". Our tallest dude was 6'5". So it just lets you know how this game went. So, and we're playing against someone. We're getting beat pretty bad, and I get caught under the rim when their 6'10" center named Greg Monroe got a fast break.
I mean, 6'10", and what are you, 6'3", 6'2"?
6'2".
That doesn't even count. I mean, that's fine. Like we played against a team in high school, and I was our center. Yes, that's how small we were. I wasn't the tallest, but I was the strongest / most physical. I played the post well. I played really good defense. That's my calling card is defense. We played DeMatha. I know everybody in the country has heard about DeMatha High School.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they had some guys who could flat out go get it. They recruit in high school. But we played in the Gonzaga DC Classic, and this guy is 6'10". No, he was every bit of 7 feet. Their team went 7 feet center, 6'10" power forward, 6'8" small forward, 6'5" shooting guard, and 6'4" point guard. So our point guard was 5'9", so that just lets you know. And I was playing center. We had a wing that was 6'4", but he was one of those slight guys that slash, and he don't play much defense. They tried to throw entry pass into the 7-footer, and my power forward was fronting him. So they threw it, and the 7-footer caught the ball and tried to go up and dunk it, and I blocked his dunk with 2 hands.
Damn.
And threw him on the ground, got my foul, stepped over him, and if it were me in this body right now, it might look impressive. But in high school, I was 6'2", 167, so that was really odd looking, but it was fun times.
Oh, man. So great stories right there. That's why I wanted to introduce this new segment, Story Time with JP. Hope you had a good time on the show today.
Absolutely, man. And now that I know the next time you have me on, I'll have something. I'll dig into my archives upstairs in this old noggin of mine and come up with some better stuff.
Definitely got to have you on again. You know, NFL, draft, free agency, all this stuff's going to happen. So I'm going to need your expertise and, you know, talk some basketball as well. I know it's not your level, your expertise, but you're definitely a big fan. So I definitely want to have you on to talk basketball as well. So thank you again for coming on. I want to thank everybody for listening to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. And until next time, go real or go home.